We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Women Empowered Across the World, and this is our podcast. And we have amazing hosts on today. And I want to just have them take a few seconds to introduce themselves, where they're from, and a little bit about them. And then we'll bring our guest on. Okay. I'll start. My name's Carol Witt, and I am the founder and director for White Yay Global. We're in 55 countries now, 38 are in Africa, and we teach a thriving mindset. Okay. And Raksha, you want to come and introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Raksha Joshi. I'm based out of Miami, Florida, and I'm a entrepreneur's life coach. I work with entrepreneurs strictly in creating thriving businesses and a co-facilitator for YEA Global with Carol. I'm so excited to be here with everybody, and let's see what unfolds today.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you, Raksha. And Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Zaccoli, and I'm kind of located in Arizona. Most of my life is all around the rest of the world and mostly in Africa. I like to bring resources to the underserved populations so that we can have them self-sustainable and increase love, prosperity, and peace.
Beautiful. Okay, Wumi.
Hello everyone, I'm super excited to be here again. My name is Mommy Peters. I'm Regional Director for SPI College of ICT, where we train little minds and big minds, strong minds on tech education. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank, thank you. And Wumi, we have a some kind of connection thing going on. I can't understand. You sound like you're in a tunnel. Can you adjust your volume or do something? I'm not sure what, but we want to hear you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And Renata.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Renata Anderson, and I am the founder of the Reborn from the Forest. It's where I do my coaching business as a dream builder, and I am also the founder of the Planetary Health Coalition.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And we have the pleasure of having Dr. Karah Kruse on today. She is a host on our podcast, but she's going to be our guest today and tell her story and inspire many. So, Dr. Karah, come join us.
Thank you so much for having me here, Carol. It's been such an honor to be a host on our Friday sessions, and I'm really excited to share my story with the world and other women out there in hopes that it empowers them and encourages them to take the steps that they need to thrive in life.
Beautiful. Okay, so go for it. Tell us who you are and tell us really your life story. And you have about 20 minutes.
Okay. So I'm Dr. Kara. I'm currently located in Austin, Texas. My first career was a relationship marketer. I spent about 30 years in that career, and I realized that it was significantly draining me. It was not my purpose. And so I entered into a community college and started being a wellness practitioner. And a decade later, I graduated as a naturopathic doctor. So I'm going to go back a little bit to explain how I got to that point. So when I was a kid, I was part of the latchkey generation. So both parents worked, not a lot of parental oversight. My parents got divorced when I was very young. And it kind of left me at 10 years old being the parent in the house. So I had to grow up really, really fast. And I had to grow up really, really fast without the guidance of my parents because both of them were working in order to support us as children. And so I kind of just forged my way through and spent a lot of time at school. I loved learning. I loved seeking in that knowledge. I loved passing it on to other people. I spent hours upon hours in the library. Our other co-host and I were joking because we both kind of found solace and a home in the library. And there's a funny story going around in my family that when I was 7 years old, I actually got kicked out of the library because I was told that I can only take out a maximum of so many books so many times per day. And the librarian said, "You've hit your limit." I'm like, "What do you mean? I read them all. I need new ones." And she's like, "You have to come back tomorrow." I'm like, "Okay." So right from the beginning of my life, I have been seeped in knowledge and education. So, but I've also realized now that I'm going to be 48 years old here, that that was my safe place. I really used it as a tool for safety and security because I never felt that at home. My father wasn't home. So another difference with me growing up back in the 90s was actually 80s into the 90s was that when my parents divorced, us kids went with my father, not my mother. And that was rare back then. And my father was an over-the-road truck driver because that's the job that he could get using his skills that would pay for everything that us children needed. So he was gone about 18 hours a day. So we were just kind of left on our own and stuff. So through most of my like formative years, I was just kind of running around in the schools. Didn't really have many friends to lean on. I was just in such a unique position living with my father and my mother not being around and stuff that it wasn't that I was chastised, but I always felt different. And so I just kind of self-isolated in order to protect myself. So driving back to my story about going to medical school was I never saw myself taking patients. I was there to heal myself. And I even said that in my interview because you have to go through a formal interview before they will officially accept you into medical school. And I remember telling her here, like, I'm not here to take patients, I'm here to heal myself. And I never realized the depth of healing that I would receive in those 7 years. Um, I was transformed into a whole different human. From our perspective of what we are exposed to in childhood that we bring into adulthood, we think like our experiences are normal. But then when you get out into the real world, you realize they're not normal, right? But then again, whole nother conversation, but what is normal? It's our each own unique experience. That's our normal. And so when I graduated from medical school, I had transitioned into a whole nother human. However, I also graduated during the pandemic. So I got to know how to treat COVID exceptionally well using alternative care. I was so honored to be part of a group of medical doctors because I'm a naturopathic medical doctor. So my training is quite unique and different than a conventional medical system. But I was able to practice underneath medical doctors using my therapies in conjunction with their therapies, and we saw incredible results. So while I was stemmed in fear because we didn't know what the next day would bring, and I'm just so energy sensitive that it just like I was encapsulated with this fear. I also had this glorious experience of treating patients and having them come back to me and give me hugs and say, "I've never felt better." And I'm like, all I did was hug you, support you. And I realized that the number one tool in medicine is not anything that I can recommend or prescribe. It's actually listening. Because so many of us start thinking about what we're going to say before we even hear what that person says. So many of us are so caught up in our own stories and sharing in order to be validated that we don't take the opportunity to validate others. And so this is where my business has now been born because I not only want to empower women, I want to hear them. I want to support them, and I want to be a beacon of that they come to be a part of a community. We've been so isolated the last couple of years. And so I put it at the top of my list now to make a community because I'm treating people individually still, and that is not igniting my soul. I want all these women talking to each other and supporting each other and collaborating like we were talking before we started the recording, things like that. That's what makes my heart sing. So I birthed this beautiful baby as a business, and I help women in middle age go through their hormonal transition because it literally is a neuroendocrine transition that's meant for us to dive deep within our souls because now when we hit menopause, we have now concluded the first, how do I want to say it? Part of our journey on this planet. We've raised the family, we've gotten married, we've done our due diligence. Now it's our time. It's our time to thrive. And so many women are caught up in their physical symptoms that they don't realize how glorious this transition can be. And so I'm helping women entrepreneurs specifically because I do have the background of the relationship marketing, and I am very, very talented. And I can look at a woman's business and I can be like, if we just switch a couple of different things and get rid of all of these expenses that you don't necessarily need and kind of repackage them, their return on investment skyrockets, their profits increase. Now they're able to do the things that they want to do in their business and fulfill their obligations that they made to themselves for the reasons why they initially wanted to start that business. But I've also realized through the past 2 years of owning a business that if your health is not there, it's really hard for you to be energetic, creative, wake up every morning with the driving desire to help other people because you're drained yourself. So I kind of package it all together and I work hand in hand with these ladies, one-on-one, and then also bring them as part of the community for support, specifically for not just the business support, because the business kind of always runs by itself, but sometimes like, hey, I just don't want to talk to anybody today, right? We've all been there. They can go into the community and they can be like, hey guys, I'm struggling today. And somebody out there is going to pick them up and give them the encouraging words that they need to hear in order to have the impact on their clients. So when I opened my business originally, I always had the intent of the butterfly effect. And at first, I really wanted to work with moms because moms are the head of household and they pretty much so determine what their husbands are eating, what their husbands are wearing, what their kids are eating, what their kids are wearing, how their kids deal with emotions, how their kids deal with tough conversations, how their kids perform in school. And I wanted to have a multi-generational approach. But never having been a mom, I just couldn't relate to that target market. And so I just kept asking the universe, like, what type of women would I resonate with that I could just have a full-fledged 1000% impact on? And it was like middle-aged ladies. And then God gave me my first hot flash. It was like, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to show you what your next step in your business is. And so now, 6 months in, I have this beautiful company that I love waking up to. I have met incredible powerhouses of women, many of them sitting in this room here today that have offered me support and continued education because we know I love that, and just really held my hand. And so I have so much appreciation and gratitude for all of you ladies sitting in this room right now, because all of this transition that I've been going to has been part because of Carol's in my first conversation and Jackie's in my conversation of who are you and what do you want to do with your life? What impact do you want to have? And when Jackie asked me that, I was like, well, sheets. I don't even really know. And so I had to take a step back. And I've just been, joining y'all and doing what you're telling me to do. And oh, I'm just speechless. I'm just speechless where I'm at right now. So thank you all. Thank you so, so much for this opportunity to share my story and to sit as a guest and not on the outside as a host. Um, because I really do hope that women can walk away from this conversation knowing that they are loved and that they are supported.
Oh,
And if you just put that out to the universe that you're desiring that love and that support, the universe and God will put it right in your lap if you are paying attention.
beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I fell in love with your heart and your energy immediately when we met. And it just keeps opening up and um, you know, and just pulling things to you. I love that about you, Dr. Karah. And I think any woman would want to have you as their naturopathic doctor in their life. I am going to shout you out everywhere I can, everywhere I can. Um, so, guys, who has some questions for Dr. Karah that would like to ask her anything or even a comment? Raise your hand. Okay, well, all right, yeah, Jackie, go ahead. And then I saw Renata, I think it was. Okay, go ahead, Jackie.
When you look at the people on this screen, I would say 100% of them are focusing on empowering women. There really is the complete common thread throughout all of that. Now, you are more of a naturopathic focus on the woman, and your middle age starting and going through probably is definitive as far as what you're doing that's different. Um, this may be hard for you to tell me because you don't know these people as well as even I. What do you suppose might be something that would be your special sauce that might not be as obvious um, from the other women on this screen, besides the listening, which I think everybody, I totally agree with you. Listening is the core of the whole thing. And I think we can all agree on that. I mean, there's no question. Is there anything else that you can put a finger on that would make you different?
Wow.
Well, from a doctor perspective, most people don't get as entangled is the word that's coming to mind, but I'm not sure if that's the word I want to use in their clients' lives. Because most doctors will just write on a prescription pad or a recommendation sheet, like you need to take these specific supplements or pharmaceuticals and you're going to get better. But I know that everything is energy. And I know that many of the times it is not a physical herb, botanical, homeopathy, something like that they need. They need more conversation.
Mm.
And so I always give my clients that time to speak whatever they wish to share with me. So a safe container.
Beautiful.
That's another.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm also being driven to say that I'm part of YEA. And I'm looking forward to that process. And I feel like through that process, I'm really going to get to know my secret sauce a lot better.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in your medical background, I mean, whatever that looks like, and these other women, I don't think have that medical look at things, that health focus,
Yeah.
that is so critical for the whole package.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Really beautiful, Dr. Karah. Okay. Renata has her hand up and then Raksha. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you for sharing your story with us. And my question is, so I think I heard you say the other day that the biggest range of women's suicide is between 50 and 55 years old, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not wrong. And I would love to understand better if there is a relationship between suicide and menopause and burnout and how this is related.
Um, well, I have a very juvenile understanding of this, and from what I understand is it is 50 to 55 years old for us ladies is the most that's the age group that has the most suicides, and I think that it's multifactorial. Number one, our hormones are all over the place at that time. And unfortunately, what I figured out is most women's hormones in their 20s are not regulated because we're approaching hormones in such a offshoot way. And we have this mindset that we just fix something and then everything else fixes. And it's just like, well, no, that's not the case. Um, and number two is because there haven't been a lot of studies on menopause. So when we're talking about our partners have no idea what's going on with us because most women have no idea what's going on with them. So how do you help your partner understand and support you when you have no idea what's going on in your body? Therefore, they have no idea what's going on in their body. And then also that's the time period where a lot of the children it's the empty nest time period, right? So now we as women are like, I did amazing job raising my family. My kids are all in college. They're doing great. They're straight A students. We're bragging about our kids, but then we're left going, what do I do next? And it's like, I think a lot of women get dragged down, and this is when our thought processes start taking over and we get into our head too much. And we're just at a point where it's just like, I have nothing left to give because I've already fulfilled my role and my obligations. So that's when I take it back. And that's why I want to teach these women that actually a transition. And the transition is all about getting to know who you are and now starting to do things according to you and what's in your heart and your soul,
Yeah.
not the demands of your family any longer.
Oof.
Just to clarify, this data is from the US or it's global?
Um, so I read it in a book. The woman's name is escaping me right now. She, in her post grad, um, oh, what a post grad research. She has MRI, so she's imaged. I think it was 10,000 women's brains over the course of 10 years to see the menopausal transition on our neurological system. And she found out that the woman's brain shrinks approximately 30% in those 5 years. And so she had made the correlation that it potentially could be something physiologic in our brain that is triggering that desire to move into the next realm.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't country specific.
I got it.
Yeah, Renata, I'm actually going to look that up and I will follow up with you because I'm curious myself if she used international data or US data. I'm going to say US because she's a professor at Cornell.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Raksha has her hand up. And then Wumi. And then I have a question for you and then we'll finish. Okay, Raksha, go ahead.
So what you said, Kara, makes a lot of sense. We go through a lot of things around that time frame, right? not just with our kids leaving the house. Our spouses or our significant others are going through a similar thing and they don't know how to cope with it. And we're going through it. If we're corporate, we're going through it at corporate because we've got young people coming in. And there's that threat of where am I going to fit in? Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. Men
Yeah.
go through it simultaneously. They call it andropause. But I don't think many men are self-aware enough to realize that their hormones are shifting and changing.
And they're not. And this is why I love the work you do. Because it's not just educating the woman, it's also educating the man in saying, and honestly, we focus so much on women. Men get gypped off sometimes, because we don't tell them what's going on with us. We expect them to be mind readers, right? But I love this subject and I could talk to you for hours, and I'm not going to talk to you for hours. That's for another day.
Yeah.
But if somebody wanted to start this journey with you to find out where they are, what they should do, what is the first step they can take?
Well, the first step that I always recommend is self-awareness. Because if you don't know where you're at, how do you know where you want to go? So like it totally depends on the lady because I'm very individualized with my clients. It's like if we need to work on sleep for her, then by golly, we're going to work on sleep. If we need to work on creating a safe container for communication with our husband, well, then we're going to do that. It's just
Right.
meeting them where they're at that moment. But number one is self-awareness, self-awareness on our habits, our emotions, our behaviors, where we want to go in life. Yeah.
Would you, I'm just, I'm in that space. I've been in that space for a while, and I think Carol will attest to my journey. And I'm always evolving, right? We all are. And hormones is something I didn't even think about. Because personally, when I went through that, I didn't have the hot flashes. I didn't have the mood swings, and I was dealing with a divorce. So it all happened together, and I have no freaking idea what my body went through. But now all these things are showing up. And like you said, you go to a regular MD, they write you a prescription and you're done. They literally, because of the way the system's set up, have 7 minutes to talk to you. Does that transfer over into your field, or because you're an independent, you have the time to deal with me as a person?
Well, I would say that usually the women that come into my world have gone through the conventional medical system. It just
Yeah.
not felt validated, not found
Oh.
solutions, not felt heard. I was just on a call with a lady the other day and she's like, my doctor told me I was fat and that I needed to walk more and eat less. And I was like, I am so, so sorry. But that's the
Well,
treatment they're getting.
okay. So this year I fired my doctor. I have a doctor, I have insurance, but literally I did fire them. Because I went in to get my physical done, and I had a list of tests I wanted to get done.
Mhm.
Um, they didn't appreciate that I was telling them what to do, but then I ended up saying, this is my body, this is what's going on with me, and I want you to do this for me. I know in some cases I may have to pay for those tests. I'm okay with that. But they had me release a form saying that it's okay for me to do that. And even when all that came back, all they had to say was everything is fine. So me being the nosy person I am, printed those documents because thank you, now we can print them online and see what our reports came out as. And they were far from okay. So I found a naturopath locally here because I live in Miami. And I went and saw them. And we're getting things under wraps and under control. But this would have saved me 5 years
Yeah, exactly.
of trying to figure out what the hell is going on with my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the conventional medical system, when you go and get blood work done, when they say that you're within normal range, the normal range is what 80% of the US population is experiencing. So over the course of the decades, the normal ranges have completely transitioned an unhealthy range. So us as naturopaths, we're trained in optimal levels. So we look at your blood results from a completely different perspective, and that's why you're seeing all of those incredible improvements because she or she is trying to get you into optimal levels for all of those tests that you had
Yes.
requested.
And we're having a conversation as opposed to what's the symptom? Here's the Band-Aid,
Correct.
Beautiful.
Yep.
right?
Absolutely beautiful.
So, yeah,
Wow.
it's
Great
the work you
question.
do is amazing.
Great question, Raksha.
Thank
I'm
you,
so glad.
Raksha. And
Yeah.
thank you for supporting fellow naturopaths because
Yeah.
there's a lot of us out there that have this ability to heal, but we're kind of suppressed by the conventional medical system just by the dynamics of where we're at in
It
society.
is coming out more. More people are taking, but it's the cost effectiveness of it, right? Because insurance companies don't cover you people. So everything is
In some states they
Oh,
do, but in most states they do not.
most states don't. And unfortunately, I live in Florida. We don't cover anything here.
all right.
My cynicism comes out.
And Raksha, you need to connect with Dr. Kara.
Oh, I will be. That's why I asked, can everybody put their
Yeah,
info in
make
the
sure
chat?
everyone puts their information in. Okay, and Rumi, you have a question, and then I have a question, and then we're going to end the call. Okay,
Thank
go ahead.
you. Thank you so much, Dr. Karah. So, I like to speak from the Africa aspects because I'm Nigerian. I live in Nigeria. So we bottle or I didn't even know that there's anything. I know there's hormones, there are a lot of things, right? Women go through and all of that, but we are not taught these things by parents. If in fact they don't know what they're going through, they just know you have to keep some things to yourself. So I don't know if you've worked with people in Africa or would you like to work with us, educate women in the Africa region? These things are happening. These are real life issues that are happening. So I love what you're doing. I really want women here to benefit from this. Thank you.
Yeah, Wilmy, let's have a conversation offline about that. I would absolutely love to support women in Africa in whatever capacity that they need at this point.
Oh, wow,
Thank you.
Rumi, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So
that's huge.
amazing. We
That's
need
huge.
Dr. Kara in Africa for women.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody's touching
sure.
them. Yeah.
For sure. Oh my gosh. If that's what happens inside this podcast. Oh my.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So, Dr. Kara, my question was this, and I got it. Hold on. Whew. Um, my question is this, you know what women are going through inside their health in their older years. What is the one thing that if you could really and truly zero in on and make a difference, and what is the one thing that you would do?
Um, I would say for them to sit back and figure out who they are because we're such a busy society. We just do, 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 do. But for us to take time to sit back and just kind of let the universe and God download to us what our next action is, what we should be doing, um, we should be bringing ourselves to the world. We're all energy. And if we're stuck in this go, 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 go mode, we never give God the opportunity to download what we need to hear. And so, yeah, that would be my big slow down. I think one of the biggest things that's affected my life personally is meditation.
Yeah. For me, it's all about focus. we say in YEA, what you focus on is what you get. And if you don't actually sit down and focus on yourself and your needs and what's showing up for you, it's hard to see it from all the other loudness around you. So
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with you. Wow. Thank you so much for another amazing episode. Oh gosh, guys, I absolutely love this podcast. I just love what's showing up around it. I love all the hosts and how you guys bring your minds and you really listen to the guests and have questions that just really have them have to focus and look to see in their lives around things. So it's beneficial for everyone. It's a win-win for everyone. The guests walk away with seeing things they didn't see before because of your questions. So I thank you so much for this episode. And I know it's going to make a difference for a lot of women out there, a lot of African women out there. Rumi, please, please, everybody, please put your information in so Dr. Karah can get back with you. Okay. And I want to just, please, guys, if you love these episodes, please share them. Please subscribe to the channel. Please, please comment. Make comments. It makes a difference for everybody. Guys, we're going to continue to bring these episodes every week, Mondays and Fridays every week, and you're going to hopefully make a difference. Our guests make a difference for so many people. Just keep sharing it so more and more women get to hear it, even men get to hear it. Okay? Thank you again, and have a thriving week.
When we stand as one, there's no divide.